how to go from one form to the other, and we learned that each form is very important and it gives us some kind of information to graph, right? Vertex form tells us where the vertex is located, and we can use it to graph our next points. Factored form tells us what? The x-intercepts, right? So it tells us where the x-intercepts are located, right? So it gives us basically, most of the time it gives us 2 points. But then what? How can I graph the rest? I have 2 points. How can I graph the rest? I can't use the step pattern if I don't have the vertex. So the step pattern is only used when I have a vertex. Okay, give me more options. Give me more ideas. Huh? Greatest common, that's if you want to find the factors. Help you with graphing. You mean the y-intercept? Okay, so I know where the x-intercepts are. How can I graph? How would I know if my graph is going to go up to here and then come down, or if my graph is going to go down here and then go up, or if my graph is going to be like this tall? How would I know where my to graph? The A value is going to help me, right, to graph, but it's not useful. It's not, like, it won't help me find my graph. It tells me if it's opening up or opening down. Yeah, but it doesn't tell me where the point is located. How do I find the H and K?
Through the
Vertex form. Do we know how to go from factor to vertex? No. We don't. We don't know how to go from factored form to vertex form. We did not learn that, and we will not learn it in this course. There is a way, but we will not learn it in this course. So I need to find the vertex, right? Because if I know the vertex, if I know these 2 zeros, right, for example, I know this is a 0 and this is a 0, and I know that my vertex is located right here, then I can graph accurately. Okay? So once I know my 2 zeros, then I need to find the vertex. Where would the vertex be located with respect to the 2 x-intercepts? In the middle. Why in the middle? That's right. If you guys remember that the vertex, right, is where my axis of symmetry passes through. And we know that the axis of symmetry is the line that's going to split my graph in half. Right? So that means from the axis of symmetry to the x-intercept and from here to here, it's going to have to be the same. So I have the axis of symmetry, and I want to find, and I have my x-intercept. One is going to be to my right, one is going to be to my left at a same distance. Right? So for me, if I know that my x-intercept is here and then my other x-intercept is here, to find my vertex, it's going to have to be in the middle between the two. So I have to add my 2 values and divide it by 2 to find the middle. Then I can put my x-intercept in the middle. I mean my axis of symmetry in the middle. Okay? Now once I find my axis of symmetry, then I can find my optimal value because they're related. We'll talk about that. So if I know my 2 zeros, right, to be able to graph my graph, I need to find my vertex. That's the important part right now that we're trying to figure out. So we said that the factored form gives me the zeros. We all agree on this? We all understand that the factored form gives me the zeros or the x-intercepts?
Yeah.
All right. Now, to find the vertex of a quadratic when it's in the factored form, you must find the zeros, or the x-intercepts, the axis of symmetry. And where did we say the axis of symmetry is located? In the middle between the two zeros. So to find the middle, you have to add the two zeros and divide by 2. That's the average, yeah. Because middle, right, is the average. So that gives me the h value of the vertex, right? Because the axis of symmetry, remember that my vertex is h and k, right? And the h value is the axis of symmetry. You guys remember that, right?
Yeah.
So I found the h value. Now, I need to still find the k value. Okay? To find the k value, I have to use the h value to solve for the k. Okay? So out of the h value is what part of the vertex, x or y? X. So what I have to do is I take the h value and I plug it in for x to solve for k, to find the y value. Okay? Remember that a point is made of two things, x and y. In this case, we replace the x and y with h and k. Okay? So when I find my h value, I take that value and I plug it into x to solve for y. We'll do an example. So to find the optimal value, plug or sub h in for x and solve for y, right? And y is the k value of the vertex. So then that would give you your h and k. So find the zeros, find the middle between the two zeros, plug that middle into your equation to solve for y. Okay? Let's see how to do that. Let's do it with a real example. What form is this in? Factored. What can I find from the factored form?
Y.
What can I find from a factored form? The x-intercepts or the zeros. If you guys don't know this yet, I'm gonna wait. Factored form. Like how many times have I said that? Plus. Okay, so what are my zeros here? What are my x-intercepts? Yeah?
Oh, no,
2 and 8. Remember that you're going to take each bracket and then you're going to set it equal to 0. You remember that?
Yeah.
I know it's been a long time since I've seen you guys. So this is my x-intercept, right? And then I'm going to set my second bracket equal to 0 and then solve for x. So these are my two zeros. That's equal to 2, okay? Anyone have problems with this? All right. So, look here. So, my two zeros are at 2. And 8. You guys agree with this? This is what I just found right now. You guys agree with that? All right. Now I need to find where my vertex is. The vertex has to be the vertex has to be somewhere in the middle. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle between 2 and 8.
5.5.
Okay, we saw.
What did you say? 5. The middle between 8 and 2 is 5. 8 and 2 is 5. Yeah. How do you find the middle? What do you do to find the middle? We add these two zeros and divide by 2. Okay? So to find the middle, I'm going to have to take this, add them, and divide by 2. So 8 plus 2, that's 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I know that my axis of symmetry is at 5. So that means my vertex is going to be somewhere on this line. Right? Somewhere. Where? I don't know yet. I have to find that. But I know it's going to be somewhere at this back. Okay? So let's go back here. To find the axis of symmetry, I had to add the 2 zeros and then divide by 2. Anyone doesn't understand this part? We know why. So that's 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So I know that my axis of symmetry is at 5. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, to find where my point is going to be, if my point is going to be here, if my point is going to be here, if it's going to be here, where is my point going to be? I need to solve for that. How do I solve for that? Is I take the optimal value, the axis of symmetry, and I plug it in for x to solve y. Okay? So, I take the axis of symmetry, which is this, I plug it into for x, I'm going to try to make this, my writing a little smaller. Sorry guys, I have to. So you see, I'm going to replace x with 5 and the other x with 5. So that's going to be negative 3 times 3 times negative 3, right? So what I did is I simplified inside the bracket. So 5 take away 2, that's 3. 5 take away 8, that's negative 3. Now I have to multiply them all together, and that's going to give me positive 27. So now I know that my optimal value is 7. So vertex now. What's the x value of the vertex? What's the x value of the vertex? 5. What's the y value of the vertex? 27. So my vertex is 5, 27. That's the axis of symmetry. That's the optimal value. Is this making sense right now to you? So I'm going to go back here. And then my vertex, we said my axis of symmetry is at 5. I'm just going to go up by 5. So my 27 is about here. And this is where my vertex is. Now you see that I have 3 points. I can simply graph this. Does it make sense that it's opening downward? Because A is negative. A is negative. That means it opens down. Right? So what did I do again? What did I find first? doing what? Adding the two zeros and dividing by 2. Once I find the axis of symmetry, what do I do with it? Plug it in for x to find the value of my vertex that I can sketch. Okay? Now, I found the vertex. Can I write it in vertex form? Okay, because I know my vertex, I can write it in vertex form. Can you guys remind me what the vertex form is? Yes. So y equals a x minus h squared plus k. Where can you find this vertex form in the classroom? Over here, where else? There. Over here on the green sheet. Right? There is no reason for you not to know this. Okay? Now what do I do with it? So I can plug in the h and k right there. How about the a value? What would be my a value? And why is it negative 3? It's the same. So if you look up here for a second, if you can't see, come close. The 3 forms, the first letter in all 3 forms is A. That A is going to match for all 3 forms. Okay? So if you know it in one of the forms, then when you write the form, it's going to be the same. That's why they use the same letter. They didn't change it for that part. It's A. Okay? So, then when I'm writing my vertex form, it's going to be negative 3, because I know that my A is negative 3. Go back here. My A is negative 3. Then, x minus 5 squared plus 20. So it's in vertex form. Now, so I started with the standard form. You see that we did write it. We did go from from factored to vertex, but we didn't use the actual, what is it called? The actual algebraic method. We used a kind of, we didn't use the front door, we used the back door to solve it. And I'm not going to teach you the algebraic method. Okay? So, instead of going to the house through the front door, we went through the back door. Okay? But we still went from factored to vertex. We cheated our way. I don't know if it's a shortcut, but it's a cut. Now, I want to convert the standard. How do you convert? Expand. Now, what do you want to expand? Do you want to take your original and expand it, or do you want to take your vertex form and expand it? Why?
Because there's 2 brackets that you can expand.
Okay. Why can't I start from the factored form and expand? I can, right? I can. Now, which one do I want to use? I personally always go with whatever the question gives me, right? Because if I made a small little mistake here, then I'm going to carry on with my mistake, right? But if I use whatever they give me, then most likely, if I know what I'm doing, I shouldn't make that mistake, right? All right. So it doesn't matter which one you use, we should end up with the same answer, by the way, if we both do it. If we want to do it, I don't know what it is. I'm having one of these days. So we can either use the original or the vertex. All right. do you want to do? FOIL. So FOIL, that means you multiply the brackets by each other. Now, my first is going to be what? X times x, which is x squared. Yeah. Then negative 8x, and then negative 2x. Okay. And then negative 2x. Okay, guys, eyes on me, please. Eyes on me, eyes on me. This is what I found with your quizzes. The last one, I am multiplying negative 2 by negative 8. I don't know what you guys were doing, but a lot of you were doing multiplying. Some of you were adding, some of you were just putting numbers down, right? We are multiplying. Okay? So we're going to multiply negative 2 by negative 8. What's negative times negative?
Positive.
Positive. 2 times 8 is 16. Okay? Yes. Yes, but before we do that, can we just simplify? Can we collect like term first? Okay. What's negative 8x minus 2x? Negative 10x. Still have problems with adding integers, guys. This is what I found with the quiz. We're still having problems with adding and subtracting integers. Use your calculator, and if you don't know how to do that, come and see me. All right. Now, what are we going to do? Multiply squared, then
Positive 30,
then
negative 48.
now the standard form tells me what?
Y-intercept.
And what's my intercept?
Negative 48.
Negative 48. That's my y-intercept. Okay? So the y-intercept is negative.
Yeah.
So look at this. I started with form. I found my zeros. I found the axis of symmetry. I found the optimal value. I found the vertex form. I found the standard form. I found the y-intercept. That's everything we learned in the past 2 units, guys. That's everything we've been learning since the beginning of the semester. In one thing. Right? You need to understand what each form tells you. If you don't understand that, you're gonna be lost. Yes.
Is a table like this to take the test?
Yep. Actually, we might have a quiz too.
Please
No? No, not now.
Gonna take away or pay off?
No, there is no quiz scheduled. It'll be a good review though.
Can I see
All right.
Can I see the upper page? Thank you.
All right. Now, that's if I have the factors. What if I have the standard form? How can I find my vertex from the standard form? What does the standard form give me? that useful? Right? So what do you think I need to do to find the vertex form? Or the vertex?
To find two zeros first.
And how do I find the two zeros? From standard form. Do sum and product?
Yeah.
So what am I doing then? What is the process called? Factor. Factor first. Exactly. You want to put it in factored form. Okay? Because when I put it in factored form, I can do exactly what I did earlier. Right? So when I go from standard to factored by doing sum and product, difference of squares, or greatest common factor, right? When I do that, then now I'm at this point. Then I can do finding zeros, finding axis symmetry, blah, blah, blah. All right. So from vertex to standard, or from standard to vertex, sorry, you're going to have to first factor. Then follow the steps above. I'm not going to write them again. Yes. Reusing, recycling, you know. That says above, by the way. I can't even read my own writing. All right, let's see an example. Ready? Not here. What form is it in? What is it useful for? Which is? Guys, 18 is up there. Negative 18 is down there. Which one?
Negative 18.
It makes a difference though. All right, now I need to put it in factored form. Remember that, right? So it's a binomial or trinomial? Trinomial. With trinomial, what do we have to do? I have to do sum and product. Do I have a greatest common factor?
Yes.
Yes.
Where's your greatest common factor? What? Where's your 3? Does this have a 3 in front of it? So 1, that means I don't have a greatest common factor. Forget about it. I don't want to see you taking a 1 out. I don't want to see that. Greatest common factor, I'm sorry. Good for everything. No, it's not.
That's perfect my head now.
No. All right. So there is no greatest common factor. That means I'm looking for sum and product. What am I looking for? Two numbers that multiply to?
Negative 18 and add to negative 3.
Next one that says the wrong side. Add to what? Okay. So because both of them are negative, where's your blue sheet? Because both of them are negative, what does that mean? So what's negative 6 and 3? Does it add to negative 3? Yeah. So I found my factors, negative 6 and 3. What other numbers multiply to 18 in case that's not it? 9 and 2?
18 and 1.
Yeah. And negative 18 and 1. No, because I did say 18. I didn't say negative 18. All right, so then my factor is going to be y equals x minus 6, x plus 3. Any questions about this factory? So what are your zeros? Good. So I have my 2 zeros. So my 2 zeros are at negative 3 and 6. What else you want to do now? I need to find the axis of symmetry. How do I find the axis of symmetry? Add and divide by 2. Okay, so to find the axis of symmetry, I need to add 6 plus minus 3 divided by 2. Guys, when you do the math and when you plot things, when you put this on graphs, if you got an answer that does not make sense, that's not in the middle, guess what? Yes, go back and check your work. Right? So if by mistake you did this and then you got an answer that's like closer to the 6, for example, like here, right? Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense that this is the axis of symmetry? No. Go back and check your work, guys. Okay, so what do I get? 6 plus minus 3 is 3 divided by 2? 1.5. All right, now what do I do with it? How do I find the optimal value? So now I know that my axis of symmetry is located somewhere here. How do I find my optimal value? Go back and look at your notes. How do you find the optimal value after you find the axis of symmetry? Sorry, go ahead. Substitute. That's right. So you substitute the axis of symmetry in for x. So let's do that. Yep. Was it x squared minus 3x minus 18? So I'm going to substitute the x with 1.5. So that's going to be 1.5 squared minus 3 times 1.5 minus 18. Can you guys tell me what your answer is? Negative 20.25? I need to write it in vertex form, and the vertex form is y equals a x minus h squared plus k. So I can just, what's the a value? 1. So I don't have to write 1.5 squared, subtract 8.25. Are we okay with this? So, I'm gonna graph this. It's gonna be somewhere down here. And then this is where the graph, how the graph's gonna look like. Looks symmetrical to you? Right? Makes sense. A value is 1, it's gonna open up, right? Any questions about this so far? Yeah. The last form that we're gonna talk about is the vertex form. So how can you find the vertex from the vertex form? It's given, which is h and k. Right? So this is the easiest one to find the vertex from. So the vertex is h and k. You don't even have to do any work. You just have to take it out from the equation. All right? Now, here's a question. So I have y equal negative 3x minus 2 squared plus 5. What is your vertex?
2, 10, 5.
Remember, the h value is opposite to what you see, because it's in the bracket. Is the vertex a max or a min? Which way is it going to open? It's going to open down. So it's going to be a max. Why is it going to open down? It's not negative. It's a is negative. There's a million things that are negative. You have to specify. Right? Because a is negative. All right. Now I have to convert to standard form. Yep.
You expand it.
So what do I do?
So I did negative 3
Yeah.
bracket x is 2 and then bracket and the same thing x minus 2 plus 5.
All right. Let's stop right here for a second. You're expanding. You want to write your x minus 2 squared in this case. You're going to write it twice.
Yeah.
because you want to FOIL. Okay? I have to write it twice. It's exactly the same thing. X minus 2 times x minus 2. Okay? This is the good time to look at your quiz and see if you did that right or you did it wrong and what you did wrong or what you did right. Now, I wrote it twice. Then what do I do after that? FOIL. Multiply the brackets. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by this. I am going to keep the a value outside, and I'm going to open my bracket. So that's going to be x squared, 2x, and the plus 5 stays outside. Do not bring it in. Now what do we want to do? Like terms, where are they? Negative 2x and negative 2x. So, I'm going to have to collect these two terms. What does that give me? Negative 2 and negative 2. You have 2 below ground, you're going down another 2. So you're still in the negative. Then what do you want to do after that? Distribute. That's right. So now, whatever is inside the bracket is going to be affected by the negative 3. Only whatever is inside the bracket. Well, what?
X.
Yeah?
Minus 16.
Minus.
16 minus.
Oh.
Oh, right.
Minus 12.
Minus 11.
Nope.
Plus 12 plus
That's fine.
minus 12.
Okay.
plus
Negative 3
5.
times 4 is negative 12. That's it. I'm done with the bracket. Then I'm going to write the plus 5. So that's going to be negative 3x squared plus 12x minus 12 plus 5. That's minus 7. I see a lot of problems with multiplying integers and adding integers, and this is not good. If I have to keep focusing on multiplying and adding integers, that's a problem. Let's look at the last example. So the flight of a baseball is modeled by the equation y equals negative 4.9x squared plus 9.8x plus 14 points. Where x is the time in seconds and y is the height in meter above the ground. These are important. When they define the letter for you, that they're important. You need to know what they represent. So x is representing what? Time in seconds. And now, they're asking you, what is the height of the ball 0.5 seconds after it was hit? So what did they give you? What's 0.5 seconds? Time. And what letter represents time? So what do you do here? You saw X is what represents time. That's why you need to understand the letters, what they mean. Okay? So this here represents the letter X. I have to take that letter X, that number, and replace it in for X. So I want you all to enter this in the calculator so we can make sure that you know how to enter it in the calculator. Your answer should be 18.375 meter. Make sure you're entering it properly in the calculator. Did you guys enter it in the calculator? Oh, come on. Did you guys enter it in the calculator?
Yes.
Did you get that answer? Good. Now, why am I writing a therefore statement? Thank you. Am I expecting that from you as well? Yes. Huh? Yeah, 18. All right, that's fine. What is the ball when it was hit? 14.7. That's the initial height. That's the y-intercept, right? When it was hit, when you're starting, and your starting point is at 14.7. You should say the height of the ball when it was hit was 14.7. Write that statement. All right. Done? Okay, now the question is, how long does it take for the ball to reach the ground? So what's the question is asking you to solve for? The x intercept. when would the ball hit the ground? That means I'm looking for the x-intercept. What form does it have to be in order for me to find the x-intercept? Factored form. What's the first thing I do when I'm factoring? What's the first thing you ask yourself when you're factoring?
Factor?
Sorry?
Factor?
The GCF.
Yes, this is the stuff.
Do I have a GCF? What did I tell you? Most likely, if I give you a trinomial and the a value is not 1, that would be your GCF. Because I will not give you anything to factor where a is not equal to 1. Okay? So in this case, your GCF is going to be negative 4.9. Let's try that. Divide each term by negative 4.9 and see if you get whole numbers.
Yeah.
So if I divide by negative 4.9, what do you get? X squared. What's 9.8 divided by negative 4.9?
Do it.
Negative 2. What's 14.7 divided by negative 4.9? Negative 3. You see how now it looks clean? There is no decimals. It's all integers when I factored out that negative 4.9. Now, what would be your next step after the GCF? What would be the sum and product? You're looking for two numbers that multiply to,
Negative 3.
add to.
Negative 2.
What multiplies to negative 3? Negative 3 and 1, because both of them are negative, the large number has to be negative. You can find that in your blue sheet. And does that add to negative 2? Yes, it does. Beautifully factored. Okay, the question is asking you, when does the ball hit the ground? Yeah, so what are they? Negative. So the ball hit the ground at 3 seconds, and the ball hit the ground at negative 1 second. Yeah?
Yeah.
You're good with these answers? Both of them make sense?
No.
Alright. So, the ball hit the ground when?
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Yeah? Yeah, I'm writing it.
Yeah.
So here you're asking yourself, what form do I need to put it in? Why do I need to put it in this form? What kind of information I'm getting out of this form? Right? 5 minutes or so?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna eat before we go, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna do actual.
All right, now I found the zeros, right? I found the zeros. So far what I have here is I have this. I know that my zeros technically are right here and right here. And I know that at 14.7, that's what my initial is. So I have, it looks like, oops. And it looks like this without even counting this. I still have to kind of try to see the whole picture, right? Now, how would I find where the maximum height is? Huh? How do I find the optimal value? Find the two zeros and divide by 2. What does that give me? Okay, so the first step is I need to find the axis of symmetry. Once I find the axis of symmetry, then I can find the optimal value. Okay? You can't jump into the optimal value without finding the axis of symmetry first. Okay? So, to find the axis of symmetry, I'm going to add both zeros. So that's 3 plus minus 1 divided by 2. So that's going to be 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So my axis of symmetry is at what? Now, because I know that the axis of symmetry is 1, how do I find the optimal value? Plugs 1 into x. Yeah. So my equation is y equals negative 4.9 x squared plus 9.8x plus 14.7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 1 for x. So if I do 1 squared, that's 1. 1 times negative 4.9, that's still negative 4.9. So that's going to give me 19.6. So if you look at the graph, right, it's, you see it, right? This is 1, and then it's about 19.6. Kind of makes sense.